Welcome to the new Jump Ball Power Rankings. We're in week 2 of the NBA season. I mean, we got some teams played already 8 games so far. And because of that, we've already got some massive shakeups in the rankings this week. So let's get right to it. Coming in at number 30 are the Memphis Grizzlies. Look, you start the season 0-6. You finally get a win against Portland. I mean, I'm happy you got the win, but you are the worst team right now in the NBA. Yeah, no Ja Morant. We know all the injuries, but you can't get anything going on offense, which is shocking because I still feel like with Desmond Bane, Marcus Smart, and Jaren Jackson Jr., you should be able to find something. At 29 are the Washington Wizards. And look, they're the team I think that's going to finish with the worst record in the NBA when it's all said and done. But the slow start from Kyle Kuzma did not help things. But the good news for them is he did look like he was busting out in their last game. Just unfortunately, they didn't win. Coming in at 28 is the Detroit Pistons. And look, they're fourth in three-point shooting this season. It's early, but still, shooting 39% from three, fourth in the NBA, extremely impressive. The problem? They're 28th in three-point attempts. They're barely getting 33s up a game. They got to kick that thing up to 35, 38 threes a game at minimum, especially when they're shooting it as well as they are. At 27, we have the Utah Jazz. They lost a close game against the Orlando Magic. Lauri Markkanen hit a couple of big threes. But honestly, this Jazz team could have a better record if they simply would not lead the league in turnovers at 17.8 turnovers a night. It's hard to win in the NBA when you're going to just constantly give the ball away, but that's what they're doing. They got to bring that number down somehow, some way. At 26, we have the Chicago Bulls, and their offense just simply is very one-on-one centric to the point where only Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan are averaging 20 points a game. After that, there's a severe drop-off. And even worse, they're 29th in the NBA in assists. They're just not moving the ball enough. It's all just one-on-one stuff, and it's not helping them win games. Coming in at 25 are the Charlotte Hornets. Look, they're not winning a lot of games, but LaMelo Ball was absolutely fantastic in the fourth quarter of their game against the Dallas Mavericks when he scored 23 points. He almost brought them back into this game. Note the word almost. Yeah, they lost this game, which is why they're at 25. Coming in at 24, we have the Portland Trailblazers. And all I want to talk about is Shaedon Sharpe because he was unbelievable in their win against Memphis. He finished regulation with a massive block to send the game into overtime and then continued to make plays in overtime, knocking down threes, jumpers, just making big plays all around. At number 23, we have the Brooklyn Nets, and it's Cam Thomas time. Yeah, you remember last year when he was scoring all those points after the trade deadline? He's back at it again. He's just coming off a 45-point performance against the Milwaukee Bucks. He's averaging 28.3 points a night, and he's just absolutely killing it on the offensive end. Only scoring, by the way, not really passing, not really playing defense, but nonetheless, he's adding quite a scoring punch and just a whole ton of excitement and fun to watch. At 22, we have the Houston Rockets, and they've climbed out of the basement after going 0-3 to start the season. They had a nice 3-game win streak this week, and it's coming from their starting five. All 5 of those guys are averaging either 18 or 17 points during this stretch, and Alperen Sengun is doing an absolutely phenomenal job diming everybody out and facilitating the offense. At 21, we have the San Antonio Spurs, and it was a real roller coaster type of week for them. They started it out with 2 huge wins on the road against the Phoenix Suns. In one of those games, Victor Wembanyama made some monster shots to close it out for San Antonio. But then they blew a 20-point lead at home to the Toronto Raptors, and they got absolutely crushed by the Indiana Pacers. If the Spurs can find some level of consistency, they'll continue to rise in the rankings. If not, they'll probably have to start falling back. At 20, it's the Toronto Raptors, and this one's all about Scottie Barnes. He's been phenomenal this season, taking the leap this year that we thought was coming last season. Better late than never, but it's here now, and it all showed in their come-from-behind win against the San Antonio Spurs, where he was amazing down the stretch, coming up with key steals in the fourth quarter, crashing the glass for offensive rebounds, making plays for threes, dunks, assists. He was just everywhere in this game and won the game for Toronto. At 19, we have the Indiana Pacers, and stay with me as I run through their week because it was pretty wild. They gave up 155 points to the Boston Celtics to start the week and lost by 51. Yeah, I know they had no Tyrese Halliburton, but they're a better team than that. Then they won their first in-season tournament game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Then the next night, they blew it against the Charlotte Hornets with probably one of the worst end-of-game plays I've ever seen. And then to bring everything full circle, they scored 150 points on the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, it's been an up and down week for them. This team is too good to be that inconsistent. At 18, we got the Miami Heat, and we got to talk about Tyler Hero. After hearing his name in trade rumors all offseason, he's come out with a vengeance this season, knocking down shots, playing extremely well, and just playing solid for the Heat. And more importantly, they were able to stop their fall in the rankings by picking up 2 wins at the end of this week to sort of stabilize where they're at. At 17, we have the New York Knicks, and they are allowing the second fewest points so far this season. Their defense is doing a great job. The problem is their offense is not doing a great job. They're scoring the second fewest points so far this season. At a certain point, something's going to give, either their defense or their offense. They really do need to find a way to get their offense on track so they can kind of edge out and get a little more space and create more cushion for them as they try to win some more games. At 16, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they're finally fully healthy. Darius Garland's back. Jarrett Allen's back. Donovan Mitchell's back. Evan Mobley, who hasn't missed a game yet this season and has been solid for them, is there now. And this team has a chance now to really start to get going and build on the season. They were able to survive as they had all those guys out with injuries, but now it's time for them to start winning games so they can rise in the standings and in the rankings. At 15, it's the Orlando Magic. You know, a week ago, people were worried about Paolo Banchero starting out slow. Well, he responded this week by averaging 23 points, shooting 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and had a game winner against the Utah Jazz. The Orlando Magic, I honestly believe, are a point guard away from really being a team that can contend for a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. At 14 is the Sacramento Kings, and they are plummeting in the rankings. No De'Aaron Fox, and they just can't seem to get their offense out of mud. It's been a real struggle for them offensively. They didn't win a game at all this week, and it's been challenging for them. And if they don't get him back soon, they're going to keep dropping in the rankings and, more importantly, in the standings. At 13 is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and of their 4 wins, only one of them is against a team that's above 500. Their losses are against the upper echelons in the Western Conference, the Denver Nuggets, the Golden State Warriors, and the New Orleans Pelicans. They need to find a way to come away with wins against those teams if they're going to be the team everybody thought they were in the offseason. At number 12 is the Phoenix Suns. And I get it. Bradley Beal has yet to play a game this season. Devin Booker has been in and out of the lineup with a sore foot, but they blew 2 games against the Spurs that they should not have lost, one of them including Devin Booker. And the workload on Kevin Durant is just too high right now when those guys are out. They're putting up a lot of mileage on him, and you have to start to worry about his longevity for this season. Coming in at 11, we have the LA Clippers. James Harden made his debut against the New York Knicks on Monday night. They lost, but more fascinating is going to be, how does this team figure out what to do on offense? This is a massive shakeup. They have the entire season to figure it out, but it's going to be a challenge for them. Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook all need the ball. So how they're going to make this work is really going to decide what their season is going to be like. Coming in at number 10 is the Los Angeles Lakers, and they're dealing with a bunch of injuries. I mean, a lot of their role players are out. Jared Vanderbilt has yet to play a game this season. You have Rui Hachimura out with a concussion, Gabe Vincent with a twisted ankle. They're running out of bodies. And to make matters worse, Anthony Davis was not able to finish the game against the Miami Heat. So you just got to keep an eye on it and hope this team can stay healthy. If not, it's going to be a long, long season in Tinseltown. At number 9 is the New Orleans Pelicans. And we got to talk about Jordan Hawkins, their rookie from UConn. He's shooting the lights out of the ball. Just in the game against Denver, he had 7 threes for 31 points. Yeah, they lost the game. But if they can continue to add shooters and he can stay hot, they're going to be able to spread the floor. And that just means more space for Zion Williamson
Coming in at number 8 is the Atlanta Hawks, and their 4-game winning streak was just snapped by the Oklahoma City Thunder. But it was an impressive one. They had wins over the Bucks, the Wolves, and the Pelicans. And more impressive than anything else is they're doing this while Trae Young is struggling to shoot. He hasn't been able to find his rhythm so far. I'm not worried about it in the long term, but just the fact they can win games when Young is struggling with his shot goes a long way for this team.
Coming in at number 7 is the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, they're the only team so far this NBA season to have beaten both the Nuggets and the Celtics. And they did it in fascinating fashion. They blew out the Nuggets, and then Anthony Edwards went off in regulation and overtime to silence the Celtics. At number 6 is the Milwaukee Bucks. They're simply struggling. They're struggling to find a rhythm offensively with Dame and Giannis and that whole crew. And defensively, they're just giving up tons of points over and over again on a nightly basis. They have a winning record, but it's showing that it's going to take more time for them to find the right chemistry and the right mix they need to be successful this season. Number 5 is the Golden State Warriors. And you got to be a little bit concerned from what we're seeing from Andrew Wiggins. He is struggling to start the season. He's shooting about 14% from 3, only getting about 4.5 rebounds a game. It's been a very slow start for him. Hasn't stopped the Warriors from winning, but their long-term goals, they need Andrew Wiggins to get going. At number 4 is the Dallas Mavericks, and they're rolling. They're 6-1 right now, even though they haven't played a very difficult schedule. I mean, 5 of their wins have come against teams below 500. It's still a lot of fun to watch him. Luka Doncic is going completely nuts, and he's having a great time playing with his new center, Derek Lively II. At number 3, it's the Philadelphia 76ers. With the James Harden trade behind them, they're rolling. And it took Joel Embiid just 3 quarters to fully dismantle the Washington Wizards. He had a 29-point third quarter alone. Didn't need him for the fourth quarter in that one. At number 2 is the Boston Celtics. Look, they're rolling. They easily could have been the number 1 team this week, except they lost that game against the Minnesota Timberwolves in overtime. And in overtime, their offense looked like it didn't have any real flow or understanding of what they were trying to do. And that's something to just keep an eye on. Even then, they're still one of the best teams in the NBA. At number 1, you guessed it, the Denver Nuggets. They're the only team that's left. They're absolutely destroying everybody in the NBA, except the Timberwolves, who blew them out. But it's okay. They're going to have those games from time to time. In general, though, they're just rolling through the league, and they are staying solid and strong, and they're getting huge minutes from their bench. That's it for this edition of the Jump Ball Power Ranking. We had a ton of movement this time around, so keep an eye out for next week because we're probably going to have a whole lot more.